Dana White's cryptic comment casts doubt on Conor McGregor's UFC future. Conor McGregor, the enigmatic and polarizing face of the UFC, has once again found himself at the center of speculation regarding his future in the sport. UFC President Dana White, who has long been McGregor's biggest supporter and advocate, made a strikingly brief yet impactful statement that has left fans and pundits questioning whether the Irish superstar will ever step foot in the Octagon again. For years, McGregor has been synonymous with the UFC's biggest moments. His rise to prominence saw him capture both the featherweight and lightweight titles, become the highest-grossing pay-per-view draw in the promotion's history, and transcend the sport to become a global icon. However, the last few years have not been kind to the Notorious. Since suffering a devastating leg injury in July 2021 during his trilogy fight against Dustin Poirier, McGregor's career has been riddled with setbacks, controversies, and unfulfilled promises of a return. A comeback that never came. McGregor's long-anticipated return was supposed to take place against Michael Chandler at UFC 303 in June 2024. Fans were ecstatic, eagerly awaiting the return of one of the sport's most electrifying figures. However, those hopes were dashed when McGregor pulled out of the fight due to a broken toe. While seemingly a minor injury compared to his previous leg break, it was enough to put his comeback on hold indefinitely. In the months following his withdrawal, Dana White remained optimistic about McGregor's return. He repeatedly reassured fans that the Irishman would compete again before the end of 2025, keeping the dream alive for millions. But after UFC Saudi Arabia in Riyadh, White's tone took a sharp and unexpected turn. When asked about McGregor's return, he delivered a blunt, 9-word statement that sent shockwaves through the MMA community. "Conor? I'm not sure when Conor will be back." For a man known for his bombastic and confident declarations, White's sudden uncertainty was alarming. Just months ago, he had expressed firm belief in McGregor's return, yet now he seemed unwilling to commit to any time frame, or even confirm if a return would happen at all. A string of controversies. McGregor's absence from competition has been accompanied by a series of troubling incidents that have further clouded his UFC future. In November, he lost a civil assault case, adding to an already lengthy list of legal troubles. While McGregor has never shied away from controversy, his recent behavior has raised concerns about whether he is still focused on fighting. His social media activity has been particularly erratic, with posts that range from bizarre to outright offensive. His antics reached a new low when footage emerged of him appearing to spit at a fan who mentioned his longtime rival, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Such incidents, coupled with his sometimes incoherent public appearances, have led many to question whether McGregor still possesses the discipline and mental sharpness required to compete at the highest level. McGregor's place in UFC history. Despite his recent struggles, McGregor's impact on the UFC is undeniable. He has headlined 7 of the top 10 highest-selling pay-per-view events in the company's history, including all of the top 4. His brash personality, knockout power, and ability to sell fights have made him the most significant financial asset the promotion has ever seen. However, his in-cage performances tell a different story. Since 2018, McGregor has only won 1 fight, a first-round TKO against Donald "Cowboy" Cerrone in January 2020. His overall UFC record stands at 10-4, with his 4 losses coming against Poirier twice, Nurmagomedov, and Nate Diaz. While his legacy is already cemented, his recent inactivity and lack of victories raise serious doubts about his ability to compete with the elite fighters of today. The future of McGregor and the UFC. The UFC is a constantly evolving landscape, with new stars emerging and old ones fading away. Fighters like Islam Makhachev, Sean O'Malley, and Alex Pereira are carrying the torch for the next generation, and the promotion continues to thrive with or without McGregor's presence. For McGregor to return and be successful, he would need to dedicate himself entirely to training and competition, something that seems increasingly unlikely given his other ventures. He has built a lucrative business empire outside the Octagon, including his proper number, 12 whiskey brand, a multi-million-dollar partnership with the UFC, and numerous other endorsements. With financial security and global fame already achieved, the hunger that once drove him to become a two-division champion appears to have diminished. Will he ever fight again? While Dana White's recent comments suggest uncertainty, the possibility of McGregor returning cannot be ruled out entirely. The UFC knows that a McGregor fight, regardless of the opponent, guarantees massive pay-per-view numbers. If the money is right and McGregor finds the motivation, a return could still happen. However, time is not on his side. At 36 years old, he is no longer in his athletic prime, and the sport has only grown more competitive in his absence. A return against an elite fighter could spell disaster for his legacy if he suffers another defeat. Ultimately, whether Conor McGregor fights again depends on one thing: McGregor himself. If he can recapture the fire that once made him great, there is still a chance for one last iconic run. But if his recent behavior and Dana White's comments are any indication, the UFC might be preparing for a future without the Notorious.